Hello, everyone. This is Self-Advocacy Matters with Scott Volker, and today I have a dream that one day I will be a successful YouTuber with a ton of money and a bunch of NFL cheerleaders knocking at my door. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's the wrong dream. Let me try that again. Today we are talking about Martin Luther King Jr. Before he became Dr. King, the legend, the leader, the dreamer, he was just Little Martin. Born on January 15th, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, Martin Luther King Jr. came into the world during a time when segregation wasn't just a set of unfair laws, it was practically a bad habit America refused to break. Now, Martin grew up in a house full of preachers. His father was Reverend Martin Luther King Sr., known around town as Daddy King. And let me tell you, if your dad is literally named Daddy King, there's a good chance you're getting sermons at the dinner table, in the car, and yes, even during football commercials. Church was life for the King family. Their home doubled as a place of worship, and the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta was more than just a building. It was a launching pad for justice. Martin grew up watching his father speak truth to power and seeing his mother, Alberta Williams King, play the organ and keep the family grounded. It was kind of like growing up in a real life civil rights Avengers team. But Martin wasn't just preaching, the man was smart. He skipped 2 grades and started college at the age of 15, which sounds impressive until you realize that most of us at 15 were still figuring out how to open a locker without pretending we forgot the combo. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything. He went to Morehouse College, and it was there that he began to wrestle with big ideas: faith, justice, and what it means to live a life that actually matters. Fun fact, at first, Martin didn't even want to be a preacher. He thought ministry was too churchy, which is fair. But eventually, he realized the pulpit could be a megaphone for change. We're all grateful he came around. Then came grad school. King earned a degree from Crozer Theological Seminary, where he graduated at the top of his class. You know you're smart when even the professors are asking you for help. And then he got his PhD from Boston University. Meanwhile, the rest of us are still trying to finish that one book we started 3 years ago. Yeah, no, still working on it. Okay. It was in Boston where he met Coretta Scott, a brilliant, beautiful musician and activist who could challenge him intellectually. And let's be honest, probably reminded him to eat vegetables, because who likes doing that? They got married, had 4 children, and became a powerhouse couple for peace. By his mid 20s, Martin wasn't just preaching, he was preparing. He had the education, the conviction, and the smooth preacher voice that could melt hearts and shake souls. Kind of reminds me of Elvis. Shake, rattle, and roll. Let's see. Seriously, if podcasts existed back then, his would have been #1 on Spotify. Welcome back to Nonviolence and Chill with Dr. King. But more than anything, Martin Luther King Jr. believed in one radical idea: that love could defeat hate, and that ordinary people could make extraordinary change. And he was just getting started. Fast forward to 1955, Montgomery, Alabama. Now, let's set the scene. Black folks were told to sit in the back of buses, give up their seats to white passengers, and basically pay for the privilege of being disrespected. Enter Rosa Parks, a soft spoken, seamstress with the energy of, nope, not today. When she refused to give up her seat, the police arrested her. Wrong move. The local black community said, cool, then we'll just stop riding the buses altogether. That kicked off the Montgomery bus boycott, which lasted 381 days. To lead the boycott, local leaders turned to the new kid in town, 26-year-old Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That's right, he was barely out of grad school. And they basically handed him the mic and said, good luck. King stepped up. He organized carpools, gave powerful speeches, and reminded everyone to stay nonviolent, even when their shoes had holes from walking to work. And it worked. The boycott ended in victory. The buses were desegregated, the movement had its leader, and Martin had officially entered the chat. Now, most people, when they're attacked, want to fight back. But King, he said, let's march, let's pray, and let's confuse the heck out of these racists with love. Dr. King was deeply inspired by Gandhi, the OG of nonviolent resistance. His philosophy was, hate is too great a burden to bear. Translation, anger gives you wrinkles. Let's take the high road. But don't get it twisted. Nonviolence didn't mean weakness. It meant showing up over and over again, peacefully, even when you're met with fire hoses, attack dogs, and people who think equality is a four-letter word. He led marches in Birmingham, where kids, yes, kids, were thrown in jail for protesting peacefully. He faced death threats, constant surveillance by the FBI, which really had way too much time on its hands, and even had his house bombed. His response? We must meet hate with love, which is a lot more mature than I would have been. King's style wasn't just effective, it was genius. He used media, moral clarity, and a calm but commanding voice to flip public opinion. Seriously, if he had been alive today, he'd break the internet every time he posted a quote. You have to be huge to be able to do something like that. All right, let's talk about the speech. It's August 28th, 1963, and over 250,000 people are packed into the National Mall in Washington, D.C. No TikTok, no event app, just good old-fashioned word of mouth, flyers, and righteous anger. Dr. King steps up to the podium. The cameras are rolling. The crowd is buzzing. And he delivers. I have a dream. Now, fun fact, the I have a dream part, he ad-libbed that. Yep, the iconic moment wasn't even in the script. Gospel singer Mahalia Jackson literally shouted from behind him, tell them about the dream, Martin. And the man delivered. He painted a picture of a world where children of all races could play together, where people would be judged by their character, not their skin color. He dropped bars like, let freedom ring from the hilltops of New Hampshire, from the curvaceous slopes of California. Like, who else could make freedom sound like a cross-country road trip? It was a moment that shook the nation and made history. Every teacher who's ever played a grainy VHS tape of that speech owes Dr. King royalties. By 1964, King received the Nobel Peace Prize. All right, becoming the youngest winner at the time. and probably the only one who had to explain to their kids, yes, this is a big deal. No, you can't use it as a toy. Put that down. But success came with a heavy cost. He was harassed constantly. The FBI even tried to sabotage him with shady letters and surveillance. You're making a big. Let me try that again. You're making a difference when the government treats you like the final boss in a spy movie. And then tragedy. On April 4th, 1968, while supporting striking sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee, Dr. King was assassinated on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. He was just 39 years old. 39. That's the age where most of us are still figuring out how to fold fitted sheets. And he had changed the world. His death sparked grief, anger, riots, and eventually more momentum. Because as heartbreaking as it was, King's message didn't die with him. So every year when we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day, let's be real, one day isn't enough. His words still echo in protests. His strategies still shape movements. Here, let me see if I can. Can't really see it in the screen, but oh well. I'm holding a cup. His dream is still being chased by generations of people who refuse to settle for less. Well, whether you're out marching, voting, organizing, or just learning about injustice for the first time, you're part of that story. Dr. King once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." But spoiler alert, it doesn't bend by itself. We have to pull it. So that's it for today's episode. Dr. King showed us that peace can be powerful, that love can be radical, and that dreaming isn't just for bedtime. It's for breakthroughs. Thanks for listening, and remember, the time is always right to do what is right. See you next time. Keep dreaming, keep pushing. Oh, and one more thing. If King were around today and saw people arguing in the comments section, he'd probably say, I have a dream that y'all would stop fighting on Facebook. Baby steps, folks. Baby steps.